Hello and welcome to Balancing Act, Life and Struggles of a Teenage Girl, a mental health and wellness and semi-unfiltered podcast made for teens by a teen. I'm your host, Morea, a 16-year-old girl from New York, and here on Balancing Act, I bring you weekly episodes featuring relatable conversations, personal stories, and practical insights to help you navigate life's balancing act and related challenges, and to remind you that you are not alone. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Balancing Act. If you're watching a video, ignore the fact that I'm literally wearing my pajamas. It's late, and I just wanted to record this episode, even though it's really late, and I should probably be asleep right now. But I really couldn't help it because I just felt like I had to record this episode to document how I'm currently feeling about the podcast. So, earlier this week, Monday, I gave a presentation to my entire school about the podcast. And honestly, I was terrified. Terrified. I was shaking. I was sitting at the front of the bleachers where everyone sits for the assembly, and I was in the front row so that I could go up to the front and talk, right? And I'm sitting there with my computer flipping through my slides over and over and over again, terrified. I'm shaking. My heart is pounding in my chest. I feel like I'm about to just pass out. Um I was holding my breath, trying to box breathe. I don't know. Maybe I should. I was trying to regulate my breath, calm my nervous system down. It was not working. I was so terrified. And then I go up to the podium and all I see is this sea of faces in front of me, and I am terrified. And then I just start yapping because I had practiced this a gazillion times with my mom. But honestly, I was just checked out. It was all muscle memory telling my throat what words to produce. I was terrified. And so I got to the point in my presentation where I talked about why I created this podcast. And as part of that, I said, I want to help to destigmatize the conversation around mental health. And I also talk about my own experiences on the podcast. And for weeks, I had been debating about how much I wanted to say about my own mental health. Would I say I talk about my own mental health struggles, or would I go into the little more of the details and talk about my eating disorder, my anxiety, and my depression? And so I decided that I was going to do it based off of how I was reading the room. And I was terrified. And so I started off by saying, I also talk about my own mental health experiences because I didn't think that I wanted to share. I really didn't. I was terrified. I didn't want to. And then I was like, girl, when's the next time you'll be able to say this in front of the entire school? When's the next opportunity you're going to get? And how many people could it help just to name those things? Because a lot of people struggle with anxiety, depression, and unfortunately, a lot of people also struggle with eating disorders. And so it's just if it helps somebody, I might as well say it. And so I just literally forced myself to say it. I know not everyone feels comfortable doing it, and it was terrifying. I was shaking, but I just blurted out. And I've been battling an eating disorder since 6th grade, and I also deal with anxiety and depression in front of my entire school, the entire student body. So anyone who was at the assembly and listening now knows that I battle with an eating disorder, anxiety, and depression. 3 things which last year I was trying to hide from the entire world. So, yay, I guess. Progress. And honestly, afterwards, some people came up to me and said that it was a really good presentation, and I was like, really? Because I was terrified the entire time. Terrified. Um, and then I, yeah, people just told me that I did a really good job, and it made me feel really good because I live off of external validation because I have no internal validation. And it's something that I'm working on, and I think it's something that a lot of people are trying to work on. Because we just find ourselves placing so much of our self-esteem on like external factors and how other people see us, and it's really hard to like feel worthy from within without getting that external validation of other people saying that you're worthy, you do well, and it manifests in so many ways. Academic validation, your parents saying, "Oh, you got good grades, yay!" Validation around the way you look. "Oh my god, you're so pretty." Validation around basically anything because, teenagers, we're teenagers, we're still developing our sense of identity and we have no clue who the heck we are in this world. And so I guess at least for me, it feels comforting when people give me external validation, but I know it's not healthy to be completely dependent on that. And yeah, but I have to say, when people come up to me and they say that they were either impacted by the work I'm doing or they think it's impacting other people, it means the world to me. And if you're one of those people who has reached out to say something like that, you know who you are, and I appreciate you with all of my heart because it means so much to hear that, and that's part of the reason why I started the podcast, because I want to help other people. And so to hear that I'm accomplishing part of that mission is just it warms my heart. It makes me so happy. It makes my day. So if you feel like this podcast has impacted you, honestly, reach out. Like I really appreciate it. But if you don't feel comfortable reaching out, that's also okay. So I was also on somebody else's podcast on Monday. I was on Tiff Cook's Roll with the Punches. The episode should be coming out within the next few weeks. And it was the second time that I've been interviewed on somebody else's podcast, like where all the questions were getting fired at me, and I was, again, terrified, brain checked out, no clue what I was saying, was losing my train of thought as I spoke. Um, I am a very fidgety person. If you're watching a video, probably see this pencil. This is my life source right now. Like, I fidget with everything. Like, during any podcast episode, I'm going on a tangent, but during any podcast episode, I will literally have like just something in my hands, like off camera, or maybe it'll accidentally get on camera that I'm like fidgeting with a pencil, anything, because I get so like nervous and fidgety during all of my podcasts. Like, I am not a chill little queen. No, During some of my first few episodes, I was terrified because when I was recording the podcast, I felt like I had to be aware of everything. I had to pay attention to exactly what the person was saying. And sometimes I zone out when somebody's like talking directly at me. It's not good. I'm trying to work on it, right? And so I'd have to keep track of what they're saying. I have to keep track of the questions that I want to ask. I have to keep track of the time. I have to think about what the audience would want to hear, want to benefit from. Have to just reel the conversation in when it gets off topic. And it was just like, I also have to think about how I am presenting myself to the person, because my resting face is a resting like face, and it's just like I it's not very comforting to people. It's very much like just like deadpan, like staring at you. And so I think that people don't really appreciate that when they're sharing stuff on a podcast. So I had to make sure that I was smiling and nodding and making them feel as welcome on the podcast as I hope they felt, because you really have to like express that. Even if you're like feeling it inside, you got to make sure that they feel that way too. So it's like, how do I act happy and warm and welcoming? How do I ask the right questions? How do I not go, yeah, 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 because that's really annoying to the audience to listen to when you're saying it over what the other person is talking about. Had to keep all these things in mind, and I'm like, I am a crappy podcast. the host. I don't know what I'm doing. I jumped into this no experience podcasting, nothing. Like yeah, I like to yap sometimes to my friends over FaceTime, but yapping with a adult with a gazillion letters behind their name and titles in front of a camera, maybe recording audio that's gonna like go on the internet forever. Yeah, that's a little more I don't know, scary. And so what the heck was I even saying? Right, Tiff Cook's podcast. So zoned out, and on the podcast, well, I wasn't completely zoned out. I was paying attention to what she was saying, of course, but only half to what I was saying. But I was like trying to articulate myself, and it was an amazing experience, and I loved it. But on the podcast, I talked about how my podcast was doing, and I talked about what it was like to present in front of my entire school. And I noticed that I was just trying to say it in a way that wouldn't make me come across as bragging, that wouldn't make me come across as like self absorbed and too proud. Because I guess that's really my biggest fear. I don't know how to take praise. People say you did something well, I say I could have done it better. And even now, I feel like I'm being self absorbed talking about myself on a podcast, on my podcast, because this podcast is made for the listener. It's to help the listener. And it's not just to like make me yap. Like I enjoy that part, but like that's not the purpose. And so it's like, am I being self-absorbed now? How do I not sound self-absorbed? How do I talk about myself without sounding like I'm obsessed with myself? And I feel like I'm always afraid to say I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of myself because I come across as sounding self-absorbed and just full of myself. And honestly, I don't like people who are full of themselves and are arrogant. My biggest fear is being an arrogant little bitch. Like, nuh-uh. And so, okay, I try to be humble. But by trying to be humble, sometimes I feel like I'm humble bragging. Like, oh yeah, I only like did this. Oh, poor me. Like, what? I also hate people. Well, don't hate anyone. I strongly dislike when people humble brag because it's like, okay, now you're fishing for compliments. No, thank you. I don't appreciate this. Be for real. But then it's also like, okay, but then I don't want to brag. And it's just like, so what do I do? And then it makes me think, what's wrong with being confident? What's wrong with saying I'm proud of myself? I put myself out there. I was terrified. I did it anyway, and people said I looked confident, and now I feel good about it. What makes us in society feel like we can't be okay with being confident in who we are and what we've done? And this is one of those times where I have no idea. I have no idea. So if you have any idea, please like reach out. I'm really just trying to ponder this. Is it because as girls, especially, or I don't know, I can only speak from this perspective because I'm a girl, right? And so I can't speak from the perspective of anyone else because I'm a girl and I can only speak from my own lived experiences. But is it because as girls, society expects us to be quiet and timid and humble and everything? I'm wondering, do boys like generally feel more okay with being confident and assertive? I feel like that might be the case, but I'm not really sure. So why can't we be confident? Why can't we be okay with saying I did a good job, I'm proud of myself, I rock, I'm a queen, let's go, slay, I don't know. Um so I'm just really thinking about this external validation versus internal validation. Why can't we feel good about what we do and what we accomplish? Why do we always have to strive for more and more and more? And I don't think I'm the only one who deals with this. And I also know that it's not the experience of all people. but just the need to always do more and like things never being enough and there's always more to do. Why do we have to feel like that? Why do we have to feel like we're never enough? Is it something about society? Is it something about maybe the environment we were raised in? And what can we do about this to just be more at peace with ourselves and not try to just keep going after something? So it made me think about what someone on my podcast said in an episode that I've not yet released, but that I hope to release soon. I interviewed this amazing woman named Araceli, and she's a breathwork, meditation, yoga like specialist who talks about the intersection between fitness and like well-being. And something she said was a tip she shared on the podcast episode was looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you. Because that reinforces it. Even if you are faking it till you make it, saying, I love you in the mirror. And so I wonder if we can do the same for confidence. Like, we can say, I love you to ourselves, but we can also say, I'm proud of you. You did a good job. You deserve to be proud of yourself. You deserve to feel good about what you did. You're a rock star. Let's go. I wonder if we say that to ourselves enough, if that will change anything. Maybe it will. Yeah. Because I feel like something I struggle with and something that I think a lot of other people struggle with is having that validation come from within. Like I was saying before, we're teenagers. Who the heck are we in this world? I don't know who I am. I place so much of my own identity on comparing myself to the people around me. And someone on a more recent episode, Michelle Solomon, Dr. Solomon, talked about social comparison and how it is an innate part of our identity development. So we figure out who we are in the world based off of where we are compared to other people. We frame our identity, we define our identity based on what it looks like in respect to other people. And that's how we kind of rank ourselves. So, if it's such an innate part of our identity development, is there any way that we can like separate ourselves from that and find a way of validating ourselves without needing to compare one way or the other, making ourselves feel better than someone else comparatively or making ourselves feel crappy compared to other people? And so I am just trying to really think through this and really figure out how we can be proud of what we accomplish, be content with ourselves, and also just say, hey, I am a rock star and no one can take that away from me. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter what other people say, because I believe that I am a rock star. So, thanks for tuning into this episode. It was kind of a shorter one, and I know that I just yapped a lot, but I hope you've taken something away from it. If you like these solo episodes of me just kind of, talking and trying to ponder things myself, these reflective episodes, please let me know that you like them, or if you think that they're kind of redundant and unnecessary and you don't like them, also let me know and I'll take that to heart and make them better for you guys. And if you have any topics or any questions or anything, reach out. I would love to hear your questions so that I can try to find a way to answer them either through something like this or a episode where I try to reach out to a guest to talk about a topic that you guys are interested in. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening to this episode of Balancing Act: Life and Struggles of a Teenage Girl. If this episode resonated with you, or if you know someone it could help, please feel free to share it with your loved ones or on social media. You can find us on our Instagram at balancingact.podcast and on our website balancingact.life. So please consider checking those out and giving our Instagram a follow. If you want to support the podcast, please consider subscribing to the podcast or leaving us a hopefully good rating on whatever platform you're listening to this on, because that would really be invaluable. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, or if you want to suggest a topic or person for a future episode, please reach out to us through social media, our website, or email, which you can find linked below. Thanks again for taking the time to listen. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and remember, life's a balancing act and sometimes you're gonna fall on your face, but you're not alone.